Tonight, it's the recession we couldn't escape. The Treasurer says we are now in the economic mire and it's only going to get worse. So what's the plan to get us out? A dark day at the White House with fresh violence raging right now in Washington and all across America. Tonight, we're on the ground with the latest. A family united in outrage as the force goes on the defensive over the controversial arrest of an Indigenous teenager in Surrey Hills. Claims of JobKeeper rorting with Sydney workers accusing employers of ripping them off. Tonight it's happening more than you think. From Liverpool to South Sydney, a first look at the new motorway tunnel slashing your travel time. No new virus cases spread here in a week. The pandemic milestone giving hope to Sydneysiders ahead of the long weekend.
This is 10 News First Sydney with Sandra Sully.
Good evening. We got the grim confirmation today that Australia is right now in a recession for the first time in almost 30 years. The summer bushfires have delivered a quarter of negative economic growth and the COVID emergency will deliver another body blow before the end of winter.
Paul Keating gave us
the recession that Australia had to have.
This is the one we couldn't avoid.
This was the economists' version of Armageddon. The impact on the economy has been very severe.
GDP falling by 0.3% in the first quarter of the year, off the back of catastrophic bushfires and the early stages of the coronavirus.
We were on track to deliver a surplus even after the bushfires.
We are 2/3 of the way into the second quarter's results for the months of April, May and June, which will be even worse than today's numbers.
The answer to that is yes, and that is on the basis of the advice that I have from the Treasury Department about where the June quarter is expected to be.
Confirming that Australia is in recession for the first time since 1991.
Hundreds of thousands of jobs have already been sacrificed to the first recession in 29 years.
The task now to avoid a recession turning into a depression.
There will be some difficult days ahead.
Today's numbers also suggest the promised budget surplus for the 2019-20 financial year was already in doubt, even before the pandemic struck.
While the pandemic came without warning, long-standing weakness in the economy did not.
The government had hoped to be handing down the first surplus in 12 years. Instead, we're in recession for the first time in 29 years. Their hope to get out of it is industrial relations reform, with the Minister meeting with union officials here in Sydney today. The aim is to find a way to build consensus towards workplace rights and conditions conducive to an economic recovery.
But I would say it was a very positive and optimistic start.
Peter Van Onselen for 10 News First.
Our political editor, Peter Van Onselen, joins me now. Peter, is there any way of knowing just how long this economic suffering is likely to last?
It's very hard to know how long it's going to last. It really will depend on the nature of how they approach the recovery and what deals can be done in that sense. There are three key elements to getting out of this. The first is industrial relations reform. You heard there in the story the Minister for Industrial Relations, Christian Porter, here in Sydney meeting with union leaders. He hopes to find a way to get deals done that help with the recovery. The second issue will be bringing down unemployment. But we know that unemployment is going to go up for quite a while before it comes down. And when it goes up, it's likely to hit double figures. So that's a really difficult task for the government going forward. And the final piece in the puzzle is productivity. It's all about improved productivity. Some of that comes back to industrial relations. A lot of it comes back to education. That's why the Prime Minister in his National Press Club address had a lot to say about TAFE and improving that sector. But we also know that the higher education sector around universities is struggling. So difficult pieces in the puzzle, but it's complex and it could take many, many years.
All right, Peter, thank you. Tensions have flared again in Washington just in the past few hours as race riots rage for an 8th night across America. Even the president's threatened military crackdown didn't scare anyone off. In fact, it only seemed to encourage more protesters. Eamon Ashton Atkinson is in Washington, D.C. He joins me now. Eamon, there's been a few late clashes and they have been close to the White House.
Yeah, Sandra, you can still taste the pepper spray in the air, which is a shame because the protesters were all peaceful throughout the day, but a short time ago you had some agitators come up to the fence and try and push it down. Of course, they were met by the military police on the other side who sprayed the pepper spray and set off a few flashbangs. And I think that's really indicative of the bigger problem that's happening right around America. There are thousands of legitimate protesters going out onto the streets during the day to protest against systemic racism and the death of George Floyd. But their narrative is being overtaken by the rioters and the looters at night. And when you have Donald Trump threatening to unleash the military against them on the streets, they're taking that as a direct threat against them. The White House is now the flashpoint for black despair and desperation.
We're tired of being peaceful. We're tired of saying stop killing us.
As if threatening to flood these streets with troops isn't enough, President Trump has now erected an extra fence around the People's House, reinforced by heavily armed troops, a menacing symbol in a city where symbols mean everything.
Remember that. My life matters. It matters. Your life matters.
Former Marine Felder Evans is so disgusted he threw his dog tags.
If you wear that uniform, then you fight for everyone.
We're all American, so why do we get treated differently?
This is Lafayette Park on the north side of the White House. Statues of revolutionary heroes are in every corner. It's always been a place of protest, a powerful symbol of free speech and democracy. Tonight, it's cut off and these people shut out. This is the weakest point where the perimeter fence meets this. And here, they've got military police and US Park Police. Some of them I saw smirking, and that only made people even more angry. What would your message be to Trump if you could say something to him?
How are you going to make America great if you won't stand for what's right?
Across town, President Trump was visiting a shrine to a saint, Pope John Paul II. He appeared to ask his wife to smile for the cameras. She didn't.
The pain is raw. The pain is real. The President of the United States must be part of the solution, not the problem.
We stand ready, as previous administrations have done, to deploy active duty military personnel to quell the violence, to quell the looting.
These men of God felt compelled to come to the White House today after yesterday's bizarre presidential photo op across the road outside a church where he wasn't welcome.
When I saw him desecrate the church that he doesn't go to, holding a Bible that he doesn't read, I could not stand by as a Christian and not say something and come down and protest against what he did to defile the church of God.
The president held up the Bible at St. John's Church yesterday. I just wish he opened it once in a while.
There is no greater symbol in this country than this. Today, under the flag, they are begging not to be killed.
Hands up! Don't shoot! Hands up! Don't shoot! Hands up! Don't shoot!
And in all this madness, a rare moment of hope. A lone policeman breaks ranks, moves forward and lowers himself onto one knee, a powerful symbol in a city and country that promises liberty and justice for all. Eamon Ashton-Atkinson for 10 News First, Washington.
Peaceful protests have once again given way to violence in many other parts of the United States, despite more moments of calm and unity amid the chaos. All of this began because of the actions of one police officer, and it's put other members of the force in harm's way, with officers targeted in New York and St. Louis. Now the mother of George Floyd's daughter has issued a plea for justice from the steps of Minneapolis City Hall, the city at the heart of one of the darkest weeks in American history.
Gas here, flashbangs. Flashbangs here in the street, police behind us, police on all sides.
The world's most powerful nation turning the weapons on itself.
This is a police riot. That is what we are seeing.
Protesters and police clashing in Portland and Atlanta.
Protester just sent a tear gas canister back towards police.
In New York, the 8 p.m. curfew set off this. But tonight there was a moment of calm in a country on a knife edge. Thousands defied the curfew to march across Manhattan Bridge after a brief standoff.
Peaceful protest! Peaceful protest!
Police let them through. Last night was a very different story. 700 people were arrested and there was widespread looting. In the Bronx, a police officer was beaten. And another is lucky to be alive after being deliberately mowed down by a car. And they weren't alone. In St. Louis, 4 police officers involved in the protests were shot, their police chief at breaking point.
And now we have 4 in the hospital, but thankfully, and thank God, they're alive. They're alive. But can we make some sense out of this? Can we make some sense out of this? That's all I'm trying to say.
And while there were flashpoints, there's hope. Sense is now starting to prevail.
Trust me, we all hurting. Trust me. Look at my eyes. We are all hurting.
Today was marked by more moments of solidarity than hate. Healthcare workers, in a fight of their own, joined the protesters in New York, and in Portland, a dramatic statement without violence. Thousands lay down on the city's main bridge to symbolise George Floyd's final minutes. And perhaps the tipping point came not from presidential threats, but for this little girl, 6-year-old Gianna Floyd, George's daughter, who fronted the cameras with her mother.
At the end of the day, they get to go home and be with their families. Gianna does not have a father. He would never see her grow up, graduate. He would never walk her down the aisle.
A family who wants justice and real change for the man they loved.
Right, that is going to work.
Ursula Hager for 10 News First.
The family of an Aboriginal teenage boy captured on video being thrown face first into the ground by a New South Wales police officer is tonight calling for the junior constable to be charged with assault. The officer has been put on restricted duties while his own organisation investigates.
Half a world away, an Aboriginal family takes a knee in solidarity with the family of murdered black man George Floyd as they face their own battle with law enforcement.
We didn't know that this was going to happen at this particular time in history, in the global history, in the national history.
Her son, captured on video talking to New South Wales police, the 16-year-old makes this comment.
What was that?
Before a junior constable storms over, pulls his arms behind his back and kicks his legs away, causing him to fall face first into the pavement.
To leg sweep somebody who was not a threat and resisting was dangerous and uncalled for. This police officer must be charged so we don't have to deal with another incident like this.
The boy was arrested before being released without charge. He was treated in hospital for a chipped tooth, cuts and bruises, but his family says it could have been much worse. His parents say he's a typical teenage boy who feels most at home amongst his peers, which is exactly what he was doing before the arrest, hanging out with friends in this park when they were approached by the officers who'd been patrolling nearby. The family is calling for the officers who watched to be scrutinised and for an independent investigation. But their boss claims it was an isolated incident.
You would have to say he's had a bad day, and I'm sure most of the community wouldn't want to see someone who's made a mistake sacked.
While the police minister is standing firm on the fence.
I was just as disturbed about the threat from a young person to physically assault a police officer as I was with the response from the police officer.
The case has reignited long-standing allegations of systemic racism on a day dedicated to Australia's most renowned Indigenous trailblazer, Eddie Mabo.
Mabo Day today. We want to pursue that with our children.
Leah Harris for 10 News First.
The driver who was behind the wheel during this crash in Western Sydney is blaming a medical episode for the accident that injured 14 people. Sabri Mustafa Nasser's lawyer has argued that the 51-year-old has a history of epilepsy and was fasting for Ramadan when the smash occurred. He's facing a string of charges, including driving recklessly and causing bodily harm, and was denied bail again today. A war of words has erupted following last night's embarrassing defeat for the state government over the proposed public sector wages freeze. The Premier had always billed it as a way of keeping people in jobs, but that was rejected and now everyone's heading for mediation.
He's the man in charge of our emergency services, and he has this message for the unions.
I've actually had more public servants contact me telling me that the unions don't speak for them over the pay rise because their job security is much more important to them.
David Elliott concedes.
There is an unfortunate difference between what the police deserve and what the taxpayers can afford to pay.
It's the latest in a war of words over a wage freeze that's been blocked. Job security is what the government promised to some 400,000 public servants in exchange for a 12-month postponement of an agreed pay rise.
Threatening people with losing their jobs seems counterproductive.
Almost the entire parliament, except the government, opposed the proposal, and it's being seen as a small win for those on the front lines of the pandemic.
That's part one of the campaign.
24 hours ago, paramedics were giving free ambulance rides to all call-outs. They've stopped their industrial action for now. The decision is in the hands of the Industrial Relations Committee and mediation begins tomorrow.
We're ready to take the fight up to the government.
The government argues the wage freeze would save $3 billion and help thousands of out-of-work people across the state.
And once JobKeeper runs out, we don't know how many of those employees will stay employed and how many will join the Centrelink queues.
Stella Todorovic for 10 News First.
The ray of hope in our fight against COVID is becoming bigger and brighter, with no new coronavirus cases in New South Wales today. And that's not the only positive milestone. There have been no locally transmitted infections in our state in a week. All of the last 15 cases are returned travellers from overseas who were in quarantine. It is good news as Sydney-siders plan ahead for the long weekend.
It's been a long time between long weekends and a quick getaway, but we're grounded no more.
Whether it's a day trip to somewhere close to Sydney or whether it's a weekend away in that regional location you've always seen in the magazine or online, just make that booking.
Our region's preparing for public holiday visitors.
It's been quite hard for us economically, so we need these visitors to come back to Dubbo. It's a good thing in our mind that Queensland has decided that they don't want tourists. So I'm saying to the people of Sydney, yes, come out here. This is a better place anyway.
Last week, domestic bookings on Airbnb had pretty much returned to normal, recovering to 97% of last year's levels. And while we can't travel all over the country or overseas, we are taking advantage of staying in New South Wales. Reservations up 44% compared to the same time in 2019.
I think what we're really grateful to see is just so many of Australians getting out and supporting their Airbnb hosts. And we know the direct impact that that has on the broader economy and community.
But the break can also be spent in your own backyard, with restaurants, museums, libraries, galleries and zoos back up and running. When it comes to crushing the curve, Australia and New South Wales really is on top of the world. In fact, the state recorded 0 new cases of COVID-19 today, and it's because of that we can start to reopen attractions like the Skywalk here at the Sydney Tower Eye. From Saturday, you can come up the top of the highest viewing point in Sydney and leave your problems 268 metres that away.
I mean, I always say I've felt a bit unlucky that I haven't been able to be a tourist in Sydney because I feel like it's one of the best cities to be a tourist in. But I guess now this is our chance. The world sort of pushed us into a corner where we don't have a choice.
When it comes to drink driving, it's never a choice. And from today, you'll pay for it with booze buses back.
Well, I've got one word of advice for the partygoers of New South Wales this weekend, and that's Uber.
Charlotte Goodlett for 10 News First.
Stay with us after the break. Sydney businesses accused of using JobKeeper payments to rip off their employees. A shocking Western Sydney assault, the latest on the hunt for this thug who attacked a delivery driver. We've got also the latest on the hunt for the arsonists behind this. And the new technology that's a game changer in the treatment of coronavirus.
It's Mystery Box Bingo.
What? Worst ingredients I could think of. It smells a little bit like garbage.
Seriously good.
This was a joy to eat.
MasterChef's Mystery Box Bingo, 7:30 tonight.
Krispy Kreme Snickers. Oh, sorry, hang on a sec. 1.5 metres. Social distancing. But I don't make the rules.
Krispy Kreme Snickers. New at 7-Eleven.
Your Ford dealer is still open and ready to help your business get back to business with high-vis value. So you can get a hard-working Ranger XLT for only $54,990 drive away, or the great value Ranger XLS for just $46,490 drive away. And don't forget to check if your business is eligible for the government's instant asset write-off this financial year. So hurry into your Ford dealer now for high-vis value.
Put away the jigsaw puzzles, the footy is back. And so is Tab's Same Game Multi, where you can combine your favourite NRL markets all in the one bet. Available on every NRL game this season. Tab, long may we play.
Gamble responsibly.
Chloe and Zoe are twins and Amy customers, so you have the same taste.
We love our HD, LED, LCD, 4K, Pixel TVs. Oh, and Barney and Rubble love the dog channel.
Do you choose to save now or later on your insurance?
Later.
Buy a home or car insurance policy and Amy Flexi Premiums lets you vary your excess to save now or later. Choose a higher excess to save now or choose a lower excess to save at claim time.
You're with Amy. Everybody needs a friend, one that's true to the end. When you need me, I'll come through.
For the sake of those around you, eat a bit more Aussie fruit, veg and nuts. It's the good mood food.
Motorists will soon have their first glimpse inside the M8 tunnel, which will stretch from Kingsgrove to St Peters. The tunnel will reduce travel time from Liverpool to Sydney South by around 30 minutes. Drivers will also have the option to take the M5 East or the new M8 exit when travelling towards the city. The $4.3 billion project is expected to be completed in just 6 weeks. Police are appealing for information after a food delivery rider was kicked and threatened with a knife at a Western Sydney train station. The attack left the rider too scared to work at night, another blow after already losing his job thanks to the pandemic.
A food delivery rider sits quietly between jobs when, out of nowhere, a kick to the head by a hooded man who then pulls a knife and demands cash. But the quick-thinking rider hatches a plan.
I thought I'm not giving him money because if I give, I'm not sure he will stab me or not.
On their way to the ATM, the rider, who asked only to be identified by his name, Karan, feared for his life.
He also told me that don't do any stupid thing, don't run or don't do anything like that. I'll stab you.
But when he saw an open pizza shop, he took a chance to dash for safety.
I was scared if I'll run, maybe he will stab. But the door was too close. I just ran.
Leaving the frustrated would-be thief to return and steal Karan's scooter, his delivery backpack and wallet, but police found all of them dumped in a nearby park just hours later.
It certainly is a cowardly and vicious attack on someone who is just sitting there, just having a break and looking at, you know, their mobile phone.
What concerns police most is the brazen and violent nature of this attack on an area that they patrol frequently. And while Karan was lucky this time, the next victim might not be so fortunate. But Karan is pretty happy he outsmarted the crook.
When I came to home after that, I was laughing. Really, I did something.
Police want your help to catch this thug. Steve Hart for 10 News First.
4 former detainees of Darwin's John Dale Youth Detention Camp are now eligible for compensation following a High Court ruling. It found that the use of tear gas by prison guards on the teenagers to be unlawful. It was deployed during a night of unrest in August 2014. The judgment overturns an earlier ruling which found that the use of the gas to be reasonable and necessary. A Black Lives Matter protester has come under fire for displaying this placard at a Sydney demonstration last night. This morning, a police minister has denounced the sign that read, "A good cop's a dead cop."
I'm horrified that anybody would think that that is a message of support to anybody, and I'm disgusted that that the organisers of the of that protest thought that that was a message that they wanted to be expanded.
The sign was held by one of more than 3,000 protesters at yesterday's rally that remained peaceful. To the skies now and hovering above with the latest on Sydney traffic tonight is Marina Ivanovic. Marina, how's it looking out there tonight?
Well, Sandra, it's extremely busy out there tonight. We'll start with Kingsgrove. We've got a multi-vehicle accident for the M5 that's heading outbound with extremely heavy delays behind it, and also seeing a very slow run through the Granville area for Parramatta Road as usual, outbound through to Woodville Road. I'm Marina Ivanovic in the Aussie Home Loans Traffic Chopper.
It's time to get the lowdown now on our weather. Tim Bailey, I've got to say I love it. It is brisk and bright.
The sky and the wind blue. See what I did there, Souls? That was the story of the day, though. Big southerly winds up around 56k an hour. And what about this morning? Goosebump land, wasn't it? Penrith, 3 degrees. Richmond, 1 degree. How did Sydney look? We have a 10 minimum, a maximum of 19 degrees. Once the sun got out, it was big and blue. Currently at 16 degrees. And some nice blue sky coming your way later in the bulletin. Nice.
Thank you, Tim. Stay with us after the break. The new technology allowing doctors to monitor COVID patients recovering in their own homes. Damning accusations against China. Did it delay finding a treatment or cure for coronavirus? And the Tiger King loses his kingdom. We'll tell you why. Let's get to today's petrol prices around the suburbs of Sydney. And today, the cheapest we found was in Macquarie Fields. The average price across the city tonight is $1.03 per litre yet again.
Your home means more than ever, and so does having the right home loan. To understand your options, go straight to Aussie. We'll help ensure you have the right loan for right now.
It's Gogglebox, like you've never seen before.
Kim Jong-un has resurfaced.
I'm really happy now. It's really made my day.
And this time, it's celebrities on the couch.
Ruining my sex drive for the next 50 years.
Good.
It's the new series coming to Thursdays.
Oh, that's James Brown.
No, James Brown is dead.
So what will the famous and their families say about what's on the box?
Take it off! Take it off! Who the is that?
New Celebrity Gogglebox USA is coming to Thursdays on 10.
1, 2, 3, 4. So clap it back. Hey, clap, clap. So clap it back. Hey, I'm getting you right back. 'Cause you're not gonna stand around living like that. So clap it back. Clap it. Clap, clap. Alright. So clap it back. Hey.
Centrum provides multiple health benefits in just one tablet. Centrum, complete from A to Zinc.
My barber was fussing with my hair, trying to hide the thinning bits, and he says to me, maybe we should shave it all off. That was my turning point.
Reached your turning point? The doctors at Ashley and Martin could help regrow your hair.
Meet the crew. They got their own way of betting. And this is me. I've always got the answer.
Make this NRL season one to remember. If your team leads at halftime, you win. That's right. Lead at the half and we'll pay you out straight away as a winner. PointsBet.
Muscle and osteopain can really tie you down. That pain is caused by inflammation. Nurofen helps reduce inflammation and relieve osteo and muscle pain for up to 8 hours. Break free with Nurofen.
Harvey Norman, your destination for everything in bathrooms and tiles. Get freestanding baths from just $799. Save 20 to 40% off the biggest brands in tapware and 25% off Timberline Australian-made bathroom furniture. Building or renovating. Take advantage of 60 months interest-free available now. Visit us online or shop in our spacious stores. We're practicing social distancing to keep our community safe. For these great deals and many more, see the bathroom and tiles specialists now at Harvey Norman.
Drive now, pay later on selected Volkswagen Amaroks and vans. Hit the ground rolling with your first 3 monthly repayments on us. Plus, get a 1.99% interest rate.
Volkswagen. So many things can change in 12 weeks. One of the least to change, the vibrancy of your hair colour. Tresemme Colour Shine Flex. Sulfate-free. Keeps colour more vibrant for up to 12 weeks. Hair defined by Tresemme. The rest is defined by you.
Worst ingredients I could think of. This was a joy to eat.
Mystery Box Bingo tonight.
2 young men, one a relative of a convicted terrorist, have learned their fates for selling guns and drugs to undercover police officers. But despite the seriousness of their crimes, they both could be free in a matter of months.
They were just 18 when they ended up in handcuffs and behind bars. 3 years on, Bilal Alameddine and Samijan Azari have now been sentenced for illegally supplying guns and drugs, which they unwittingly gave to an undercover officer. Between them, police received 7 firearms, including a shotgun, revolver and bolt-action rifle, ammunition and around 500 grams of cocaine. In their first encounter, the court heard they offered the covert cop other weapons too. Azari said, "We got stumpies if you want." Alameddine adding, "We got snub-nose revolvers, the 38s, they're nice ones." In sentencing the pair, the judge described the supplied firearms as in working order, some of them stolen and many missing their serial numbers. And so, as the judge saw it, clearly intended for a criminal purpose. But he also noted the individual role that each offender played. The fact that Mr Azari was in possession of the money, however, indicates to me that he had a greater position of trust than Mr Alameddine and was more seriously involved. Today, that showed in their sentences. Bilal, who's being kept in segregation and is a relative of convicted terrorist Talal Alameddine, has been jailed for a maximum of 6 years. But he could be out by the end of the month when his 3-year non-parole period expires. Azari, also subject to a strict national security classification, was sentenced to 7 years behind bars. At earliest, he could be released at the end of the year. Alice Hogg for 10 News First.
COVID-19 patients who don't need hospital care can now be monitored at home thanks to new technology. An Australian hospital is using an app to log their vital details, keeping beds free for more critical patients.
David Curtin was suffering from a splitting headache. Eventually, a doctor decided to test him for COVID-19 and he was positive.
Look, I was shocked, but then again when I thought about it, I thought, well, I've had these symptoms, so it's probably not surprising.
But the 64-year-old didn't need to be hospitalised. Instead, the Royal Melbourne Hospital sent him home with a small device and a smartphone app. The device monitors a patient's oxygen levels and heart rate.
The patients receive an SMS from our hospital twice a day that asks them to log in and check in with us.
He says only the most severe coronavirus patients need to be in hospital.
About 20% of patients then go on to deteriorate in their second week of illness and they require hospital care.
The system not only frees up hospital beds but keeps patients comfortable.
Well, you've got your own surroundings, and I have my wife to look after me at the same time.
The technology was originally created in anticipation that the hospital would receive an influx of COVID-19 patients. Thankfully, that never happened, but now the monitoring system exists for future health problems. It's now being shared across Australia and the world.
There's a limited amount of resources that we have, so we only want patients who we have something to offer them sitting inside the beds within our hospital.
David has been symptom-free for a month and he's fighting fit.
Very lucky, yes.
Candice Wyatt for 10 News First.
Gold Coast police are hunting two arsonists after luxury boats were destroyed in a huge blaze. Firefighters arrived at the Hope Island Marina just after 11 p.m. to find 3 vessels alight. While they fought to contain the flames, the harbour master towed neighbouring boats to safety.
We believe it's in excess of $1 million in terms of the vessels and some damage to the marina.
Detectives believe 2 men jumped a fence before a firebomb was thrown onto one of the boats. Divers were called in this afternoon to ensure that no one was trapped on board the sunken vessels. Mirroring the demonstrations in the United States, French protesters have marched in Paris, remembering a black man killed by officers in 2016. Protesters threw rocks and stones at riot police who fired tear gas back, trying to stop the group marching up the road in northern Paris. Police had earlier banned the march on safety grounds. A new investigation has revealed that China significantly delayed releasing key information to the World Health Organization to help fight COVID-19. The Associated Press reports that China refused to release the genetic map of the virus for more than a week after 3 different government labs had decoded it. That information is key to developing a treatment or even a vaccine for the virus. Throughout January, the World Health Organization publicly praised China for what it called a speedy response to the outbreak. There has been another twist in the Tiger King saga from the popular TV series. Self-proclaimed wildlife warrior Carol Baskin has been awarded ownership of the Tiger King Zoo by a US judge. The zoo, previously run by Joseph Maldonado Passage, also known as Joe Exotic, was part of a $1 million trademark dispute. Still to come here on 10 News First, claims employees are being ripped off through the government's JobKeeper program. And a win against dodgy builders and developers, the new reforms coming to New South Wales.
It's Mystery Box Bingo.
What? Worst ingredients I could think of.
It smells a little bit like garbage.
Seriously good.
This was a joy to eat.
MasterChef's Mystery Box Bingo, 7:30 tonight.
With health insurance from Australian Unity, you're in good hands. Get 6 weeks free and pick cover that suits you. Join hospital and extras by June 30. Search Australian Unity today.
Well, would you look at Greg? Never seen him so happy. Pig in mud. The footy's back. The gang's all here. Someone just brought him a beer. His team's even winning, and doesn't Greg know it? Happy Greg. Smug Greg. Nothing can ruin Greg's vibe.
My kidneys have got bigger stones than him.
Oh, Nat. Nice try, mother of Greg.
Oh.
Your home, your stadium, all in one place.
If I could give them 1 million stars, I would.
Another real review from a happy Aussie broadband customer. With thousands of 5-star reviews, an award-winning NBN network and all Australian support, we're shooting for the stars. Aussie Broadband. Can't beat feedback.
When headaches hold you back, try Nurofen Quicksorb. Its advanced formula absorbs quickly, relieving headaches fast. For quick, effective pain relief, choose Nurofen Quicksorb.
Hey, Tina, can you please slice the lettuce, tomato and onions, toast the buns, grab the sauce and mayo and bring the meat.
Take a break from cooking and get Hungry Jack's Flame Grill Whoppers delivered now on Uber Eats or Menu Lock. Hungry Jack's Delivery. The burgers are better.
Meet the crew. They got their own way of betting. And this is me. I've always got the answer.
Make this NRL season one to remember. If your team leads at halftime, you win. That's right. Lead at the half and we'll pay you out straight away as a winner. PointsBet.
Get back to the game you love with a Drummond Golf sale. Get 10 to 20% off push buggies and bags, irons and iron sets, a minimum 20% off gloves and apparel, and a minimum 10% off packages. Now on at Drummond Golf.
The Land Rover main event, with offers as spectacular as our vehicles. Like savings that leave the GST behind and a 5-year warranty. All yours on Land Rover Discovery Sport. On now.
Alright Australia, so you need more energy and a better night's sleep. Meet the revolutionary Sleeping Duck mattress taking Australia by storm. It's the next generation mattress reimagined by aerospace engineers to give you the best energy, health and sleep benefits possible, even making history by becoming the first mattress ever to win Choice's Best Overall Mattress 2 years in a row. It comes manufacturer direct, free of markup. And that means you can get incredible quality with incredible value. That's Sleeping Duck, one giant leap for your sleep.
Thanks for calling ING. This is Adam speaking. How can I help you? No, I'm currently working from home.
Oh, you can call anytime, so...
Sorry. And she's currently nibbling at my toe right now.
Yeah, working from home was a bit tricky at first, but...
There's definitely been some stray farts, hasn't there, mate?
And now your loan's on a fixed rate. Can I help you with anything else?
No, you made my day.
Well, whatever 2020 throws at you, we're here for a chat anytime.
Too easy.
Tonight's top stories, bushfires and COVID-19 have plunged the Australian economy into recession. GDP shrunk by 0.3% in the March quarter, our first quarter of negative growth in 9 years. Violence has flared again in Washington, D.C., with police and protesters clashing near the White House. There have been more pleas for calm from the family of George Floyd, whose death at the hands of police sparked these protests. And the family of an Indigenous teenager who was knocked to the ground by a police officer in Surrey Hills is calling for the officer to be charged with assault. It was set up as an income safety net for Australians during the pandemic, but JobKeeper mistakes and even rorting has seen many eligible workers go without. Today we spoke to some employees left struggling in all the confusion.
They're 4 young bartenders who claim they were left out in the cold by their boss when the pandemic hit.
No income, no job. This was at a time when the lockdown was at its highest level.
They'd all worked at the Balmain Hotel for over a year and were relieved when JobKeeper was announced.
We were all eligible. We met all the criteria. We signed the papers.
They even received their first fortnightly allowance. JobKeeper is written on their pay slips, but the next week the payment was reduced and then disappeared altogether, so they contacted their boss.
He said to me, "We're taking off the JobKeeper, that's it, we're ending the payments."
I'm shocked that they could do that. It doesn't seem like that should be allowed at all under the JobKeeper scheme.
It's been really stressful because this situation's already stressful enough.
While the Balmain Hotel is back showing the love to customers, when we contacted them for comment, their response was, "No comment, sweetie."
You cannot be pulled off JobKeeper if your workplace is currently still registered with the JobKeeper program.
The United Workers Union says employees have been shortchanged in the confusion. They surveyed 550 hospitality workers. Of those eligible for JobKeeper, 70% had major roster and duty changes. 12% said their employer refused to apply on their behalf, and 15% were asked to sign documents entitling their boss to some of the money. The Australian Tax Office warns those caught rorting the system will need to repay the monies and be subject to penalties, including up to 10 years jail. While the ATO cannot discuss individual cases, these 4 have called its tip-off hotline.
It's been tough, you know. I've been trying to look for jobs ever since, really. I'm doing a master's degree, so I've got no income from anything, really.
Ali Donaldson for 10 News First.
In the wake of the mascot and Opal Tower debacles, the state government has today passed a bill aimed at restoring public confidence in the construction industry. The Design and Building Practitioners Bill gives the government greater oversight and new powers, including the ability to issue stop work orders and some hefty fines. Current owners of defective apartments will also benefit from a clause declaring they are owed a duty of care by their builders, which may entitle them to damages. Time for a final check on traffic conditions tonight. Let's get back to Marina. Marina, you've got an update for us now on the M4.
Yes, Sandra, lots of flashing lights on the M4 tonight through Greystanes. We've got a multi-vehicle accident, as you can see here, heading outbound, approaching Greystanes Road. It's all off in the breakdown lane. Lots of emergency services on the scene, and the outbound delays are extremely slow tonight. If I zoom out, you can see the extent of delays going back past Marylands at the moment, and city-bound traffic also building on the approach. I'm Marina Ivanovic in the Aussie Home Loans Traffic Chopper.
With the news in sport now, let's get to Matt Burkham at Virtual Motor Racing gets back to reality.
Yeah, that's right, Sandra. It's going to be great. We're going to hear the roar of the engines very soon in Formula One. Those details next. And so much for brotherly love as Turbo needs to get a move on to be the best. Plus, big-name athletes from Australia and around the world back the cause Black Lives Matter.
Your home means more than ever, and so does having the right home loan. To understand your options, go straight to Aussie. We'll help ensure you have the right loan for right now.
Courtney Act is bringing some neighbourly love tonight, 6:30.
It's Gogglebox, like you've never seen before.
Who the is that?
And this time, it's celebrities on the couch.
Oh, that's James Brown.
My James Brown is dead.
Oh.
New Celebrity Gogglebox USA is coming to Thursdays.
Very easy for you to set up a smart home at Bunnings.
Smart starter kit, only $258. Alex Smart Adapter, just $17.50.
Where you find a competitor's lower price on the same stocked item, we'll beat it by 10%. Shop at Bunnings wherever you are, whenever you want.
All for Benson now, for classic catcher's gold. Catch it! Yes! Well held, son! Get him into the cordon!
I've seen a car go off a cliff with more grace than that, but geez, the big man has great hands.
That Make It Look Easy moment was brought to you by Sportsbet's NRL Same Game Multi. Combine your favourite markets, like South to win, into both Latrell and Tedesco to score, and you'll get bigger odds. Same Game Multi from Sportsbet.
With Allianz Comprehensive Car Insurance, we guarantee all the repairs we authorise.
Hey, good to go.
Looks great. Thanks.
Get that Allianz feeling. Call or search for a quote today.
If you have a serious ongoing condition like osteoporosis, don't put your health on hold.
Medical authorities are urging you to keep in contact with your GP and stay on your medications.
Call your doctor today to stay treated and stay safe.
Tough times don't excuse tougher times at home. Even in crisis, there's no place for abuse or domestic violence. If you or someone you know is affected, help is available online and by phone 24/7. For free, confidential advice, support and counselling for women and men, contact 1-800-RESPECT. There's no place for abuse or domestic violence. Help is here. Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.
Shaver Shop's end of financial year sale. Save up to 80%. GHD Original Styler now $168. Philips Sonic Hair Electric Toothbrush half price. Plus 60% off this Braun IPL now $319. Save up to 80% at Shaver Shop. Sale on now.
Meet the crew. They got their own way of betting. And this is me. I've always got the answer.
Make this NRL season one to remember. If your team leads at halftime, you win. That's right. Lead at the half and we'll pay you out straight away as a winner. PointsBet.
Coming to you live from the scene. Tell us what you've got there. Toilet paper? Nah, just dinner stuff. Right. You must have paid an unprecedented price for that
that during these unprecedented times.
Nah, they're from Aldi. Prices are always low.
Let's just go.
Whatever happens, our low prices are here to stay. Aldi. Good. Different.
Worst ingredients I could think of.
This was a joy to eat.
Mystery Box Bingo tonight.
Good evening. Tom Trbojevic might be tearing up the opposition, but brother Jake doesn't think he's the best fullback running around in the NRL. The brothers are a deadly combination and will be out to end Parramatta's unbeaten start to the season on Sunday.
What are brothers for? While Tommy burnt another team last Sunday, Jake is there to keep him grounded. He doesn't think Turbo is the best fullback in the business.
I'm going to have to say no to that one. I think... Look, you look at James Tedesco's last couple of years, coming off, 2 premierships, a Dally M. He won the Wally Lewis medal last year. He's had 2 Brad Fittler medals. I think that's pretty hard to beat at the moment. So I'll have to give that one to Teddy.
Manly's number one looked flashy, but also showed grit against the Bulldogs.
He's worked really hard over the off-season, and Des has given us some things to work on, which it was great to see him paying off. But, it's only early in the year. I think the best thing about the other night too was, although Tom had a great game, was that everyone really contributed.
The Seagulls scored 7 tries, but Ruben Garrick only converted 2. Still, he gets an A+ for the excuse.
He complained that there was too much sanitizer on the balls, and he wanted the ball boys to, blow dry or something before he put on the tee. So I think he probably demoted to his red peas when it comes to his kicking licence.
On Saturday, George Tafua will be trying the impossible to silence Blake Ferguson.
He talks a lot. I'm not too sure if it's just to himself or, I don't think his teammates listen to him very much.
Jokes aside, the Seagulls respect they're up against one of the form teams.
The rivalry there is, is pretty alive, and we're up for it this week, and we can't wait to verse them. They're a quality team.
Bence Hammerley for 10 News First.
And the Broncos are predicting fireworks in tomorrow's showdown with the reigning premiers, the Roosters. That's despite admitting they'll be outmatched in experience, with yet another young colt set to join the Broncos' ranks.
From the ground outside Suncorp Stadium and from the air, there was no sign of Jake Turpin, but one Broncos co-captain was towing the official line.
And Terps, he'll be given every chance to play tomorrow night. He's a very valuable player to this team.
While the other seemingly ruled in Toowoomba's Corey Pakes for his debut.
I've got every confidence that he'll be able to do his job, but he should be confident too. He's a bit of a different kind of 9. He plays a bit like Damien Cook, kind of. It'll be good. I'm interested to see how it goes.
Pakes is yet another young face to join Anthony Seibold's lineup. The weight of experience well and truly in the Roosters' favour tomorrow night.
I've done a little bit on Brisbane this week, but early season we really want to nail our footy.
No sugarcoating it. We're going to have to go toe-to-toe with them, and it's going to be exciting. And there'll probably be some fireworks without a crowd there.
The Premier's getting another win at the judiciary, with Victor Radley cleared to play overnight.
The defence of the tackle and how, the modern game and how people want people to be tackling, so it was a positive result.
Good news in Townsville too, with Carl Felt signing on for another 4 years. The winger using the opportunity to defend Valentine Holmes from claims his Cronulla exit was done the wrong way.
It's totally up to them what they say and what they do, but I know Val's moved on from everything.
Veronica Eggleton for 10 News First.
And Newcastle and Chelsea are the latest Premier League teams to take the knee in protest against the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis. Across the globe, athletes have embraced the cause. Black Lives Matter. Among them, Australian NBA star Ben Simmons and AFL counterpart Buddy Franklin, who wrote on Instagram, "Justice for all. What's happening in the US is happening on our own soil and all around the world." Premier League officials are happy for other teams to take the knee when the competition resumes on June 17. Formula One is back up and ready to rev up behind closed doors, but there won't be an Aussie Grand Prix in 2020. The first of 8 rounds starts in Austria with back-to-back race weeks from July 5. But any positive tests to COVID-19 won't lead to race cancellations.
Rigorous set of guidelines. I don't know, probably at this point it's probably 80 to 90 pages. We will test before you go there. I think at this point, testing every 2 days, if we find, a positive infection, to deal with that.
And Silverstone will host 2 Grand Prix, while Spain, Belgium and Monza in Italy each have 1. The remaining schedule will be released later this month. And Sandra, the Supercars E-Series is on again, and the venue was decided on by the drivers in this one, an oval racetrack in Michigan. So see it tonight, 10 play, 7 p.m.
It's a date. Thank you, Matt. Stay with us after the break. Why coronavirus has had a positive impact on Aussie saving accounts.
And that was a winter's day the Rose Bay way. It's currently 16 degrees. Hey, stick around after 6 o'clock. Coles want to give you groceries for a year. And the weather wall is also here.
Will Aussie charities become casualties of COVID-19?
It's Mystery Box Bingo.
What? Worst ingredients I could think of.
It smells a little bit like garbage.
Seriously good.
This was a joy to eat.
MasterChef's Mystery Box Bingo, 7:30 tonight.
There you go, Slugger.
Steve?
Domino's is bringing New York to your living room with the new tastier New Yorker range, now with even more authentic ingredients, like huge pepperoni on a giant-sized New York pizza. Try one from just $19.95 delivered from Domino's.
Go on.
At Devondale, we believe great milk comes from cows that graze free.
Are you pregnant or planning for a baby? Try Elevate Pregnancy Multivitamin from Chemist Warehouse. Elevate is Australia's most trusted pregnancy multivitamin, a scientific formula with more folic acid and iron than any other pregnancy multivitamin. Elevate Pregnancy Multivitamin is $59.99 at Chemist Warehouse. And now available Elevate DHA to support baby's brain and eye development, and Elevate Probiotics to support immunity. Live, look, feel well at Chemist Warehouse.
Meet the crew. They got their own way of betting. And this is me. I've always got the answer.
Make this NRL season one to remember. If your team leads at halftime, you win. That's right. Lead at the half and we'll pay you out straight away as a winner. PointsBet.
Now I need to find an aged care worker. Someone to help me get ready for the day, and some physio help.
Mabel has over 10,000 independent care and support workers ready to help you. Find your people at mabel.com.au.
At Harvey Norman, get a $300 bonus 12-month KO subscription with any 65-inch TV or above from our new 2020 range. KO is Australia's biggest sports streaming service. Watch the action live and on demand. This Samsung 75-inch Crystal 4K UHD Smart TV is just $2,295. Plus, you get a $300 bonus 12-month KO subscription. Hurry! $300 bonus KO subscription with selected 65-inch TVs. Limited time, now at Harvey Norman.
Go! Which delicious new Arnott's Cracker Chips flavour will you try first? Hickory ribs with sticky glaze or mozzarella and basil bruschetta? Arnott's Cracker Chips, oven roasted, never fried.
Yep, Tim Bailey is back. Tim, these winter blue skies, I have to say, they've become a bit of a Bailey specialty.
Oh, look, the sky was blue and so was Penrith's and Richmond's toes, I've got to tell you. That was a cold old start to the day. 3 degrees at Pantherland and down to 1 at Richmond. More of that sort of frosty stuff. Chilled but charming conditions as we hit the Daily Bailey weather wall. The forecast where we get it all. OK, low pressure system out in the Indian Ocean and a trough pushes some embedded thunderstorms and rain across the northwest of WA. A little bit of mid-level cloud too sweeps across. There's a big high in the Great Australian Bight. The low pressure system and trough are out in the Tasman Sea, and New South Wales is clear, but it's cold. All right, weather map for you tomorrow looks suspiciously like this. Big player is the high pressure system moving slowly east across New South Wales. Low pressure system out in the Tasman Sea, as we've said, and squeezing up in between those two weather systems, the southerly that's making your nether regions get a little bit goosebumpy, if you know what I mean. Those southerlies roared today around about 50 to 60 kilometres an hour. All right, the business of the Broly predicted precipitation drips and drops across rooftops and crops. You can see it there. It's pretty much a dry old continent, apart from a little bit of coastal activity on New South Wales. The rest of it is big and blue, and that'll do. Some nice weather, some brilliant winter weather coming your way. All right, where do we go tonight? Where does your imagination run away to? It is Australia's favourite photo album, and this is why. Look at this cracking shot. Don't flip out, says Renee Gartner. Just chill. She's under the water at Manly, just doing it beautifully. What about that for isolation? Love it. Share your stuff on Instagram, folks. It's hashtag DailyBaileyNSW, and follow the wee weatherman that's on your telly right now at DailyBailey10. Be part of this brilliant club. Be part of this brilliant club. 5 of 6 kids. I love you. I love your handle too. Sharing on Insta. Look at that, the B. Beautiful, beautiful gear. Creative and shared on Insta, hashtag DailyBaileyNSW. Third up tonight on the wall where you get it all, Narrabeen. Oh, God's country. Home to the bad head on your television set right now. But look at that for a start to the day. What a cracking shot. Thank you, Arthur Marder, for taking the time to be involved and lighting up the screen that's got to be seen. Let's go and find your forecast right now. Map of Australia comes up and looks like this in Perth tomorrow, 23, fine and sunny. Adelaide, it's chilly. It'll nip at you, but it's 15 degrees with hardly a cloud in the sky. Broome, fine and sunny in 30. Darwin, 31 degrees, good-looking day. Cairns puts its cobalt blue hat on for 25. Brisbane says we're doing all right in banana bending land, 22 degrees. Canberra down to -2. There's a frost on the ground, and I would say your hot water bottle in bed till about 9 a.m. 13 degrees your maximum. Melbourne 6 through to 14, and Hobart it's shiny, but it's a 14-degree maximum. Map of New South Wales does the zoom into Bales. Broken Hill 14 degrees, Dubbo 17, Orange down to -2. There's the White Lawn, tops of 11. Tamworth manages just 17, Coffs Harbour 19, and it's showery up on the border, Lismore 18 degrees. Newcastle a bit of a drip and a drop across your rooftop for 17. Super suburbs of Sydney, southerly wind flow, sunny day, Campbelltown 18, Bankstown 17, Terry Hills 15, Gosford does 16, and Mascot magical and 17 degrees. The official forecast for the Harbour City tomorrow is fine and sunny, down to 9, top of 17 degrees, and your 7-day forecast with a big look at what should be a brilliant winter's weekend in 25 minutes.
Making news now, Australia's economy goes into recession. Bushfires push us into the first quarter of negative growth in 9 years. Next, the devastating impact of coronavirus. More clashes between police and protesters on the streets of the US Capitol as the little daughter of George Floyd shines a ray of hope in the nation's darkest hour. And calls for criminal charges for the Sydney police officer behind this. We have the response from the state's top cop. The Federal Treasurer, Josh Frydenberg, has formally declared that Australia is in a recession, the first in almost 30 years. New figures out today show the summer bushfires have caused the economy to shrink, but that's nothing compared to what COVID-19 is about to do. Peter Van Onselen joins me now with the latest on this story. Peter, Josh Frydenberg, well, he has joined Paul Keating in a pretty miserable club.
It's not a club, Sandra, that he would have wanted to be in. 29 years since the last recession in 1991 when Paul Keating was Treasurer before, of course, he became Prime Minister. Josh Frydenberg hopes to become Prime Minister as well one day, but he won't like this on his record sheet. A recession confirmed by him today. It's because we've had 1 quarter of negative economic growth, but he knows we've got another one coming because of the coronavirus. Here's a little bit of what the Treasurer had to say.
This was the economists' version of Armageddon. The impact on the economy has been very severe. The impact in the June quarter will be even more severe. We've climbed this mountain before, we'll climb it again. Thank you.
Now, the figure that we're talking about here is 0.3% as a reduction of GDP. It's not insubstantial, but what's going to come up in the second quarter, which is why the Treasurer has flagged, yes, we are in a recession, is going to be much worse than that because of the virus. The issue, of course, is beyond numbers. We're talking about huge losses of job. We're talking about the difficulty of getting out of this crisis. That's why today here in Sydney, we saw the Industrial Relations Minister, Christian Porter, having meetings with unions to try to find ways to boost productivity and to get agreement on the workplace relations front. We'll see how that goes, but it looks, Sandra, like we're in recession for some time to come.
All right, Peter, not good news, but thank you. Peaceful protests have once again given way to violence in the capital and across the United States, despite more moments of calm and unity amid the chaos. From Washington, D.C. to all corners of the nation, there have been more clashes and more heartbreak.
The symbol of American power, the heart of its democracy. Tonight, the White House is once again the target of protesters' fury. A new security fence, lines of police and a curfew have done nothing to keep them away.
Because I'm fighting for my life. I'm fighting for my kids' life. I'm fighting for my family. I'm fighting. And I feel like this is worth it. People want to be violent, let them be violent, because we've been experiencing violence for the past 400 years.
It was here yesterday that police cleared a path for the president so he could stand outside a damaged church.
We stand today outraged with President Trump's use of the military against peaceful protesters.
Using tear gas and flash grenades in order to stage a photo op.
Today, Donald Trump staged another one at a shrine to Pope John Paul, appearing to urge the First Lady to smile. But in America tonight, there is little to be happy about.
Gas here, flashbangs.
In Portland, Oregon,
This is a police riot. That is what we are seeing.
police are chasing demonstrators through the streets with tear gas. These are clashes in Milwaukee just in the past few hours. And there are violent standoffs too in Atlanta.
Protester just sent a tear gas canister back towards police, back towards National Guard.
Overnight in the Bronx, a policeman was run down and injured. And in Missouri, 4 officers were shot, their chief filled with despair.
Thank God they're alive. They're alive. But can we make some sense out of this?
In New York, Democrat politicians are bickering over who is to blame for yesterday's violent looting spree.
The NYPD and the mayor did not do their job last night. You have 38,000 NYPD. Use 38,000 people.
And as America debates the legality of the president's threat to turn the army on its own people, the Pentagon has tonight confirmed an extra 1,600 active soldiers have been flown to the capital and placed on standby. Daniel Sutton for 10 News First.
Our US correspondent Eamon Ashton-Atkinson is in Washington, D.C. He joins me now. Eamon, it's been another shocking night in the US Capitol, hasn't it?
Yes, it has, Sandra. It's 4 o'clock in the morning at the moment, so things are much calmer now. But even just 2 hours ago, things were flaring up here at the gate outside the White House. We had some agitators come up the street and they tried to push over the new fence that's been set up outside Lafayette Park. They were setting off fireworks and, of course, they were met by the military police on the other side who were letting off flashbangs and spraying them with pepper spray. And I think it's really indicative of the broader problem that's happening right across America. You're seeing Thousands of legitimate protesters taking to the streets by the day, but they're having their message drowned out by the rioting and looting that's happening at night time. And there's also the issue of justice for George Floyd. So tonight we're seeing thousands of Americans being arrested for breaching those curfews. All they wanted to do was go out and peacefully protest. But there are 3 people who haven't been arrested yet, and they are the 3 officers who were assisting during George Floyd's arrest. Sandra?
OK, Eamon, thank you. The state of Minnesota has launched a sweeping civil rights probe into the Minneapolis Police Department just a week after one of its officers killed George Floyd. CBS correspondent Skylar Henry has the latest from the place where it all began.
Well, the civil rights investigation that the state of Minnesota is opening up against the Minneapolis Police Department is relatively broad. They want to see whether the department has actually used any sort of practices in terms of discrimination in terms of people of color, particularly in the last 10 years. Now, obviously, this is stemming from George Floyd, but they want to see how far this goes, and if there is any issues whatsoever, they want to make sure that they are doing anything in their power to stop it altogether. Now, we've been out here all day. It's been a significantly large crowd that we've seen here, and they want to make sure that they honor George Floyd, that they are doing so peacefully, and that they are showing the love that they have for him as well. Now, we heard from the mother of George Floyd's daughter earlier today. She says that she's absolutely heartbroken about what has happened to him, and she has a message for those listening.
Shiana does not have a father. He will never see her grow up, graduate. He will never walk her down the aisle.
Now, we have been out across the city of Minneapolis throughout the day today. Thousands of protesters have gathered in multiple locations, not just here at the memorial where George Floyd died, but all throughout the city as well. Several different groups of people, all wanting to make sure that they pay tribute to a man who has essentially started a movement across the country and, quite frankly, around the world. Back to you.
The family of an Indigenous boy whose arrest has gone viral have labelled the incident violent and uncalled for. They're now seeking for the officer responsible to be charged with assault.
A loss of control.
What the
That's proving difficult to explain away.
You would have to say he's had a bad day, and I'm sure most of the community wouldn't want to see someone who's made a mistake sacked.
The family of this arrested 16-year-old Aboriginal boy,
he's in pain,
says this is an assault by a junior constable in the New South Wales Police Force.
This police officer must be charged so we don't have to deal with another incident like this.
After this comment,
what was that?
The boy was knocked down and sent to hospital with a chipped tooth, cuts and bruises.
To leg sweep somebody who was not a threat and resisting was dangerous and uncalled for.
They say the officer's actions deserve an independent investigation and that the 16-year-old was just a typical teenager spending time with his friends when he was approached.
Children hanging out in their local parks are entitled to have a childhood and they should not be treated like criminals.
Today, the boy's family took a knee in solidarity with those in the US who are taking a stand against police brutality as Black Lives Matter protests spring up on our streets.
Our boy was face-slammed into the concrete!
A movement that began half a world away feels very close to home. Leah Harris for 10 News First.
Detectives have charged the stepmother of a 4-year-old Down syndrome girl with her murder. Willow Dunn was found dead in her cot in her Brisbane home. 43-year-old Shannon White is the second person to face a murder charge over the death. Her father was charged last week.
We know that members of Willow's family relocated from Adelaide to Brisbane in 2017, and we believe that there is value in identifying potential witnesses in South Australia.
They are also following leads in New South Wales as they piece together the details of Willow's short life. A food delivery rider who was savagely kicked in the head and held up at knife point in Sydney's West has spoken to 10 News First of his ordeal. Police have praised the rider's bravery. They say it was his quick thinking that helped him get away from the thug unharmed.
Yes, it was a food delivery rider that was sitting on this very bench at Wentworthville train station when he was set upon. Security vision captured the moment that he was kicked in the head by a hooded attacker who pulled out a knife and demanded cash. Now, the rider that only wanted to be identified by his first name of Karan told us that he instead told the attacker he'd take him to a nearby ATM and get him cash out from there. It was a clever plan because as he got nearby an open pizza shop, he made a run for it.
I thought I'm not giving him money because if I give, I'm not sure he will stab me or not. He also told me that don't do any stupid thing, don't run or don't do anything like that. I'll stab you. But the door was too close. I just ran.
The would-be attacker returned to the scene of the crime, not wanting to leave empty-handed. He stole Karan's scooter and his food delivery backpack along with his wallet. Karan has been described by police as brave, and they're also appealing for any information that can lead to this attacker.
We are now appealing to members of the public who are looking at this footage today to come forward and identify who this person is.
Karan says this incident has shaken him so much that he can now only deliver throughout the day.
It was billed as a way to save jobs, but now the government's bid to freeze public service wages is in tatters. The plan was voted down last night in an embarrassing defeat for the Premier. Both sides now heading for mediation with no solution in sight.
It's business as usual for our paramedics today after a small win in the wage war. For 24 hours, ambulance call-outs were free, but industrial action has been stopped, at least for now. It comes after a 12-month freeze on an agreed-upon pay rise was voted down by the New South Wales Upper House. The Nurses and Midwives Association welcomes the decision.
That's part one of the campaign. We thank the members of the Upper House who disallowed the state government regulation to freeze wages.
But the Emergency Services Minister David Elliott had this to say.
I've actually had more public servants contact me telling me that the unions don't speak for them over the pay rise because their job security is much more important to them.
The government vowed to keep more than 400,000 public servants in their jobs if the freeze was approved, offering a $1,000 cash bonus to sweeten the deal, but it wasn't sweet enough.
Threatening people with losing their jobs seems counterproductive.
The government is now taking the fight to the Industrial Commission. Mediation begins tomorrow.
Coming up next here on 10 News First, why Australia's economy is doing much better than others in the face of COVID-19. In sport, only one round back into the revised NRL season, and there's already a battle to be the best fullback. Plus, Australia's swim coach steps down a year out from the Tokyo Games.
The latest from the escalating US race riots, which show no signs of slowing down, and how Aussies stack up against other countries when it came to panic buying.
It's Gogglebox, like you've never seen before.
Who the f*** is that?
And this time, it's celebrities on the couch.
Oh, that's James Brown.
My James Brown is dead.
Oh.
New Celebrity Gogglebox USA is coming to Thursdays.
It is the heart of the home. It's the heart of our family. It's the heart of our social life. We need it to last a long time, and that's where quality comes in. Every kitchen is different. Every size is different. So we have such a great range here.
It's a nice feeling to walk into a brand new kitchen. We definitely make the whole process affordable and easy. So from start to finish, Bunnings makes it super easy to get your state-of-the-art kitchen for your budget.
So to create the amazing look without the big prices, beautiful kitchens at an affordable price that look amazing.
Oh dear, it looks like she's not feeling too good. A cup of Lemsip Max Multi-Relief should do the trick. Its multi-action formula helps relieve up to 6 cold and flu symptoms. Lemsip, that's better.
When life gives you dirtiness, Godfrey's gives you cleanliness. With products to keep every surface free from spills, dirt and allergens. For a clean and healthy home, Godfrey's Cleanliness.
With Belong, you get 10 gigs of mobile data for $25 a month. That's 10 gigs of family time, 10 gigs of scrolling through memory lane, 10 gigs of staycations, or 10 gigs of catching up with the family. Plus, unlimited international calls and texts to selected countries for $5 extra. We all spend family time differently. Together, we're different. Belong.
So many things can change in 12 weeks. One of the least to change, the vibrancy of your hair colour. Tresemme Colour Shine Flex. Sulfate free. Keeps colour more vibrant for up to 12 weeks. Hair defined by Tresemme. The rest is defined by you.
A third-generation butcher, born and bred. Pop's traditional recipes fill his head. His award-winning sausages are so sublime, you can enjoy these beauties anytime. The British Sausage, Ham and Bacon Company. Australian-made the British way.
Geeks to you saved my life.
Actually, I just saved all these photos. This PC had a virus.
Geeks to you set up, synced up and sorted out my world.
Well, her IT world at least.
With our new improved download speed, we're streaming every night.
Is there no end to their problem-solving powers?
If there is a problem we can't fix, you don't pay.
They may be geeks to you, but they're miracle workers to me.
Call 1300 Geeks to You and we'll come to you.
Are your lips in need of some bold new matte colours? Look out for Revlon's new Super Lustrous, the luscious matte lipsticks from Chemist Warehouse. Choose from 12 high pigment velvety matte shades. The non-drying formula is infused with hydrating ingredients to ensure lips feel supple and look smooth. Right now at Chemist Warehouse, Revlon's Super Lustrous matte lipsticks are $14.99 each. Give your lips the super lustrous, super luscious feel. Live, look, feel fabulous every day at Chemist Warehouse.
It's Mystery Box Bingo.
What? Worst ingredients I could think of. It smells a little bit like garbage.
Seriously good.
This was a joy to eat.
MasterChef's Mystery Box Bingo, 7:30 tonight.
As we've heard, COVID-19 and a hangover from the bushfire crisis has put the Australian economy into recession. While today's contraction shows the resilience of our economy, next quarter's figures will hurt. But as Gillian Bowen reports, the Australian share market shook off the grim news today.
Hello there. Confirmation from the Treasurer today. Australia is in recession and it took a health emergency to break our run of economic growth. But the 0.3% contraction was within expectations, so the market rose, adding $27 billion worth of value to hit 12-week highs. Looking deeper into the Bureau of Statistics GDP figures, household spending on services was significantly impacted by COVID-19 social distancing measures and travel restrictions. That drop is unprecedented. The fall in household consumption was so dramatic over March, it ripped 0.6% from the economy's final growth figure and is the first decline in almost 12 years. And so with no one spending, household saving is now at its highest rate since September 2016. Now, CommSec has delivered a bit of perspective. Our economy only shrank by 0.3% despite bushfires, drought, flooding, cyclones and a pandemic. America's slide has been far worse, so has the UK's and Germany's, while China has fallen a whopping 33.8%. But Australia's next quarter will be much worse, and economists are predicting more government rescue spending. Now, it was the financial, property and energy sectors driving up the market today, while the dollar hit fresh 6-month highs and is now buying around 69.4 US cents. And that's finance.
It is time for another check at the day in sport with Matt Burke and Matt. A couple of NRL fullbacks, well, they've started raising the bar.
Sandra, these boys behind me have come back in form, that's for sure. But Tom Trbojevic has a way to go yet before he can knock James Tedesco off his perch as rugby league's best fullback. And that's according to his brother Jake, who says Turbo needs more consistency and success before he can be considered the best number one.
You look at James Tedesco's last couple of years, coming off 2 premierships, a Dally M. He won the Wally Lewis medal last year. He's had 2 Brad Fittler medals. I think that's pretty hard to beat at the moment. So I'd like to give that one to Teddy.
And how's this one? Manly's Ruben Garrick has come up with the best excuse of the COVID era for his errant kicking against the Bulldogs. He told teammates he missed 5 conversions because there was too much hand sanitizer on the footballs. And the Panthers have rallied around rookie half Matt Burton, who failed to score a point despite 5 field goal attempts in their draw against Newcastle. And while the Warriors have singled out damaging runner Viliami Kikau as Penrith's biggest threat. He may have more talents than they bargained for.
We do train and we do practice those crucial moments in the game. And yeah, I've told the coach I'll be standing next to Burton. If Burton can't kick, I'll be there for third option.
And Burton gets another chance on Friday night with Nathan Cleary still counting down his suspension for those TikTok dance videos. And a year out from the Tokyo Olympics, and Australian swim coach Jaco Verhaeren has stepped down after 7 years in charge. The Dutchman's contract was due to expire in November, but the 12-month delay of the Games has triggered his early departure. Liesl Jones's former coach, Rowan Taylor, will now take over. And Sandra, he knows how to get a couple of gold medals out of people as well, so well done.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yep.
It's a smooth transition. Thanks, Matt. Stay with us. The long weekend is almost here. After the break, Bailey's back with your weekend weather forecast.
Want to win a year's supply of groceries thanks to Coles? Then grab tonight's code word and head to the 10-play win page to enter, and you could be a winner. Plus, be watching MasterChef 7:30 tonight for the bonus code word to double your chances.
Right now at Carpet Call, you can take 50% off. Yes, 50% off all rugs purchased at carpetcall.com.au. Range, quality and price. That's why for over 40 years, Carpet Call are
the experts in the trade.
This is how legends are made.
The legendary Toyota Supra is back. Experience the exhilaration for yourself. Oh, what a feeling. Toyota.
Hot Milo. None of that crunchy stuff on top, thank you. Just smooth and hot. The way us Hot Milo drinkers like it. What side are you on?
Because you can't get out to see someone, Bupa members can claim some extra services via telehealth, like psychology, speech pathology, dietetics and more. Bupa, because life happens. Learn more at bupa.com.au.
1, 2, 3, 4. So clap it back. Hey, clap, clap. So clap it back. Hey, I'm getting you right back. 'Cause you're not gonna stand around living like that. So clap it back. Clap it, clap, clap. Alright, so clap it back. Hey, hey.
Centrum provides multiple health benefits in just one tablet. Centrum, complete from A to Zinc.
Wish you had internet that didn't let you down? That doesn't leave you hanging? And won't have you missing any of the action? Get Vodafone NBN with 4G backup. Plans start from just $55 a month. And with free express delivery, connect instantly once you receive it. Buy online today at vodafone.com.au. Ready?
At Coles, we're helping lower the cost of dinner with the Coles boneless pork leg roast, down to $8.50 a kilo. Save $1.50 a kilo. For delicious roast pork recipes, head to coles.com.au. Coles, good things, great value.
Design, performance, exceptional value. A Mazda stands out. At the Mazda Standout End of Financial Year event, get a Mazda CX-3 Neo Sport from $23,990 drive away. Search Mazda offers now.
People are really surprised at what we do have and what we stock. We've got a full smart home range from lights to security locks to cameras, everything to control your home in a smart way.
We use the security system that we've got from Bunnings to look at our dogs. When they're being naughty, we can just say, Billy, Georgia, and they'll just look at the camera and they know.
So you can have this amazing tech for a really low price. Shop at Bunnings wherever you are, whenever you want.
Up next, Aussies blacked out their social media in solidarity. But how helpful was it? And what can we do to be better allies? Charities are drying up as COVID-19 takes its toll just when people need them most. How to keep them afloat. And why Courtney Act is taking pride in her new role on Ramsay Street. Project next.
Oh, they're bitingly cold of a morning, but beautifully blue in the afternoon, and we'll take another one tomorrow as we plug into the Daily Bailey weather wall, the forecast where we get it all. What's the story? The big high pressure system drifting across New South Wales and the low pressure system out in the Tasman Sea are the story. And up through the two systems come the southerly winds, and they're galloping at you with goosebumps. You felt that, Penrith, this morning, 3 degrees, and out at Richmond, just 1. So very cold mornings, but beautifully blue skies as the high just dominates most of Australia. All right, let's have a look at New South Wales tomorrow. I've got a feeling it's going to be a cracker. Broken Hill, down to 4, top of 14 degrees, not a cloud in the sky. Dubbo, likewise, 17 degrees. The lawn is white in orange, -2 to a top of 11 degrees. Chilled but charming. Wagga Wagga, 14 degrees. Canberra down to -2. The Jack Frost is about 13. Bega, 17 degrees. There is a shower in Lismore for 18 degrees. For the next couple of days, the only shower you're going to see is going to be the north coast. Coffs Harbour 19 degrees, Tamworth does 17 degrees, Newcastle 17 with a little bit of a shower, but it won't be much, mainly a big blue sky. All right, the super suburbs of Sydney on what will be a thumping Thursday. Trust me, Penrith, perfect, 18 degrees. Parramatta, precisely 17 and sunny. Richmond, likewise 17. Katoomba, down to 0, a duck egg and a top of 11. Terry Hills, 15. Mascot, 17. And Gosford, 16 degrees. 7-day forecast. Let's have a look at the long weekend. Saturday, sunny and 18 degrees. A little showery Sunday and Monday. I'll work on it for you, 17 degrees. And in the Greater West, Saturday, the pick of it, 18 degrees. Sunday, 17 and Monday, 16. Here comes a long weekend. Love talking about them on a Wednesday.
Indeed. Thank you, Tim. That is the news for now. As Tim said, for Wednesday, June 3 from the team. We'll see you tomorrow. Cheers.
Tonight, the US race riots show no sign of slowing down. So how can a country